So thanks Daniel for participating in our quick social experiment. Hello Ashley, thank you so much for participating in our quick social experiment. All I need you to do right now is just breathe in this plastic for about 3 times and tell me how you feel.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, it's really difficult, isn't it? Did you find it difficult to breathe? Yeah, it was difficult, right? Now, if this is the case for Ashley and Daniel, then what about our friends under the ocean?
According to the United Nations, at least 800 species worldwide are affected by marine debris, and as much as 80% of that litter is plastic. It is estimated that up to 13 million metric tons of plastic end up in the ocean each year. That is equivalent to a garbage truckload's worth every single minute. Fish, seabirds, sea turtles, and other marine mammals can become entangled in or ingest this plastic, causing suffocation, starvation, and drowning.
I believe that everybody's attitude towards plastic disposal should be understanding the risk we are putting our planet on. On a lecture by Ms. Devika, we learned about what it takes to be a fair-minded thinker. Now that we've put out the current situation and perspectives of lecturers and friends, we are now going to evaluate with what our community lacks to be a fair-minded thinker. The first thing they lack is intellectual empathy, the inability to put oneself imaginatively in the place of others on a routine basis. When applied to the topic of the assignment, we can recognize that the negligence that we ourselves, the community, big corporations, and even the government does not recognize the harm it's causing to life in the ocean, which reflects to us. We also lack intellectual integrity to be true to one's own disciplined thinking and holding oneself to the same standards that one expects others to meet. We understand that disposing plastic is bad, yet we do it anyway, just for the sake of convenience. Now, for the environmental activists out there, they possess intellectual perseverance to work their way through intellectual complexities despite frustrations. They are able to fight the system to save the planet that we all share. And finally, to possess the goal attitude towards plastic disposal, it's not merely about accepting beliefs or activists or laws that the government imposes, but it's about fully rationalizing the issue and building your own attitude to hold through, as one would their own religion. This is what, in other words, would be known as intellectual autonomy. Now that we have all the characteristics, it is undoubtedly true that we will achieve the right attitude towards plastic disposal. As we grow through the 4 stages of development, we will achieve the mind of a practicing thinker, which will help us in many aspects, but most of all, it will help us reshape our character, redefine the way we see things. Even though this may not be easy, it is paramount that every individual on this planet strives to achieve this for us to stand a chance in saving our planet.
Okay, so how do I feel about people who are throwing plastic instead of recycling? I really feel bad because a lot can be done with the stuff that they have decided to throw, where they can recycle them, okay, and they can reuse. And why do I think they are neglecting their responsibility of recycling is mainly because the lack of awareness. Okay, they don't know that they can actually recycle. The knowledge is not there. On top of that, there are also lazy people out there. We can't avoid them, where they just can't be bothered. You know, they just throw, like, they just want to get rid of their rubbish. They just treat the waste which can be recycled as rubbish. And then they are also ignorant. There are also group of people who are very ignorant. They can't be bothered with. They have no time for all this. They just go on with their daily life, can't be bothered. So I think these are the main reasons why they don't recycle. And I feel bad. I really feel they should recycle.
I think the main reason why people really don't care about this issue or about plastic disposals is because we are not aware of it. We don't see the connection between the environment and us. We don't understand how nature having all these plastics, this contaminating the earth would affect us. We're very busy with our daily lives and we don't really have the time to think about this. That, and also secondly, I think, is the lack of education. Many people talk about it, everybody's aware of it, but we don't know how it affects us, we don't know why, and we don't know what can we do. I think this is mainly because our education system doesn't really focus on this. We learn the very basics, but we don't go into the details about this and application in daily life. If you come from a family that does not believe in such a thing, you yourself will not follow it. So I think the main reason people really don't care is because of their upbringing, their family, and their education. Yeah.
Right. So the question is why people neglect this plastic and not recycle them and just throw it away at their own whims and fancies. I would probably think it is the lack of education, the lack of awareness of the consequences of throwing and being careless about these things. If the education was right and the awareness programs were right about the consequences and what it does to the environment, I think people will be more mindful about what they need to do, and then that will be passed on to the next generation and the next generation. I think so. It comes down to the culture of a certain community as to what they do. If you go to, let's say, for instance, Singapore, you know, it's a culture, and on the other hand, if you go to India, it's quite a different scenario. And so I think it goes back to education to a large extent, you know. And children watch their parents and they learn it. For instance, I'll give you a certain example. I mean, I could go to a bank and go to the ATM and get the receipt out. And once I have seen the sum on the receipt, I tend to just throw it away on the floor in the bank ATM area. But I don't want to do that because if I don't see a dustbin, I wouldn't throw it on the floor. I would put it in my pocket, take it back home, and put it in the bin in my place. And I think it goes back to just being conscious of the environment. If you don't do it at home, then why would you want to do it, you know, on Earth?
So the question was, what should everyone else do to reduce the plastic disposable? First of all, very basic is they shouldn't be taking plastic back from whenever they buy things. They shouldn't be taking plastics. They shouldn't be paying for it. Also, they should be carrying reusable bag, reusable container. You know, for those who are buying food, probably they can bring the container from home. Okay, that will help. Other than that, they also use material, even if they don't carry plastics and reusable bags with them. They can request for boxes when they're buying things from shop. They can request. Actually, it is their right to get a box, and they use that big instead of plastic box is much better. because that is easily decomposable. It's not something that will be remain in the environment for a longer time and doesn't cause any harm to the other living organism. It doesn't even if it end up in the waters, in the river, in the sea or anything, it can decompose.
What everyone should do when it comes to reducing plastic disposals is first and foremost to be fully aware of what and how do they use the plastic. Because if we go out to a shop and we go to a mama or something and we just drink drinks using the plastic straw, once we're done we just leave it and we just go. So we kind of neglect it, not knowing that they will throw the plastics and it will affect our environment. So I think the first and most important thing that we should do is understand that it's our actions that affect the environment, and we should pay full attention to how we use these plastics, be it a plastic bag, a plastic straw, or any plastic goods. How do we use it and how do we dispose it? That's the very important thing, and once we pay full attention to it, we will know that the main reason the environment is like this is because of us, and how we can affect it and how we can solve such things.
In Singapore, they fine you for littering. There's something you can do as well. Now they have come up with this thing called when they actually penalize people for smoking in public, and they summon them. That can be used, I suppose, because people need to pay a price for them to learn a lesson. If that's the way to go, then that's the way to go.
Okay, so now that we know how our attitude should be like towards plastic disposal, I'm going to tell you about the recommendations on how to overcome this problem that we have here on Earth. Okay, so the main issue we have here is the lack of awareness towards this problem. I think Ms. Devika said that in an interview. Well, it's not really the case, because I'm sure everyone knows how bad the plastic situation here on Earth is. It's just that we don't do anything to overcome it, So to spread even more awareness, we should have ads pop up on YouTube. We should post pictures on Instagram of how bad the situation is. It really is in where we're living right now, which is our planet Earth. Okay, so besides that, we can take action by
decreasing the amount of plastic waste that has already been produced. Organisms such as waxworms and mealworms can decompose the plastic wastage and turn it into compost. Other than that, microbes can decrease the time to degrade plastic into hundreds of years to only a couple of days. Other than that, we can also change the use of plastic waste, which is instead of throwing it into landfills, we can actually recycle it and turn it into a new product. For example, trainers, sunglasses, and traffic cones.
Plastic has become a toxic part of our life. We should aim to reduce the amount of single-use plastic reusable alternatives in our daily life. Rubber tree plant is being used as a nature as it durable as synthetic plastic, and it comes from reusable sources and therefore can biodegrade. This is turning back to plant for ingredients called biodegradable plastic. Even the rubber tree itself is now being recovered from plastic and now a part of a global initiative for the nature and sustainable sourcing of plastic. The latex is used to make products such as all nature latex, rubber glove, kayak, and many more.